George Strait was born on May 18, 1952, in Poteet and raised in nearby Pearsall, where life moved at a slower, steadier pace. Surrounded by wide-open land and strong values, he grew up with a deep respect for tradition, something that would later define his music and character. His early influences included country greats like Hank Williams, Merle Haggard, and George Jones. These legends shaped his appreciation for honest storytelling and timeless sound. Strait never chased trends. He stayed rooted in authenticity. Even before fame, there was a quiet confidence about him, a sense that he knew exactly who he was and where he came from, and that grounded nature would become his greatest strength. From soldier to songman. Before stepping into the spotlight, George Strait served in the United States Army, where he was stationed in Hawaii. It was there that his love for music began to take shape in a more serious way. Performing with an Army-sponsored band gave him his first taste of life on stage, helping him build confidence and discipline. After his service, he returned to Texas and attended Texas State University, earning a degree in agriculture. Even as his musical ambitions grew, he remained closely tied to his rural roots. There was never a sense of rushing into fame. His journey unfolded naturally. Music wasn't just a dream. It was something he worked towards steadily, with patience and determination, laying a strong foundation for what would become one of the most enduring careers in country music history. A career built on tradition. In 1981, Strait released his debut single, Unwound, followed by his first album, Straight Country. At a time when country music was shifting toward a more polished, pop-influenced sound, he stayed true to traditional roots. That decision set him apart. Over the years, he delivered hit after hit. Songs like Amarillo by Morning and I Cross My Heart became staples of American music. With over 60 number-one hits, his consistency is unmatched. But beyond the numbers, it's the sincerity in his voice that resonates. He doesn't overcomplicate his music. He lets it breathe. His songs feel lived in, like stories passed down over generations. That authenticity is what has kept fans connected to him for decades. A life anchored in family. Away from the stage, George Strait's life has always centered around family. In 1971, he married his high school sweetheart, Norma Strait, in a quiet ceremony that reflected their grounded nature. Their bond has remained strong through decades of fame, something rare in the entertainment world. Together, they built a life rooted in love, loyalty, and privacy. Strait has often credited Norma as his steady anchor, someone who kept him grounded even as his career soared. Their relationship isn't flashy or public, it's real. In a world that often celebrates noise, theirs is a story of quiet commitment. That sense of stability has shaped not only his personal life, but also the way he approaches his career, always keeping what matters most close to heart. Love, loss, and strength life hasn't been without heartbreak. In 1986, the Strait family experienced the devastating loss of their daughter, Jennifer Strait. It was a moment that changed everything. True to his nature, Strait chose to grieve privately, stepping back from the spotlight and focusing on his family. In time, he and Norma created the Jennifer Lynn Strait Foundation, turning their loss into a source of hope for others. It was a quiet but powerful act of resilience. Strait has never spoken about the tragedy in dramatic terms, but it's clear that it shaped him deeply. His music, already heartfelt, seemed to carry even more emotional weight afterward. Through it all, he remained steady, proving that strength doesn't always come from speaking loudly. It often comes from enduring quietly. A father's pride. As the years went on, Strait found joy in watching his son, George Strait Jr., grow into his own person. Known as Bubba, he carved out his own path in the world of rodeo. embracing the same values of hard work and authenticity that defined his father. One memorable moment came when Strait watched Bubba compete at the Houston Livestock Show and rodeo before stepping on stage himself. It was a simple yet powerful image. A father beaming with pride, not as a superstar, but as a parent. These are the moments that matter most to Strait. Fame may have brought him recognition, but family has always brought him fulfillment. His life has never been just about music. It's about the people he shares it with. Speaking on Toby Keith. At 73, George Strait rarely steps into the spotlight to speak publicly, which made his recent words about Toby Keith all the more meaningful. He spoke with sincerity, reflecting on Keith not just as an artist, but as a person. While their styles differed, Strait admired Keith's boldness and ability to connect with audiences. He recognized the way Keith's music captured real-life emotions, from patriotism to everyday struggles. Strait's tone wasn't dramatic. It was genuine. He spoke like one artist acknowledging another, with quiet respect. In an industry often filled with noise, his words stood out because they were simple and heartfelt. It wasn't about headlines. It was about honoring someone who had left a lasting mark on country music and on those who knew him. Respect between two icons. Though they didn't always share the same stage, Strait and Toby Keith shared a mutual respect that ran deep. Strait admired how Keith stayed true to himself, never afraid to speak his mind or follow his own path. He recognized that kind of independence as something rare and valuable. In reflecting on Keith's career, Strait acknowledged the energy and uniqueness he brought to the genre. Country music, in his view, has room for many voices, and Keith's was one that stood out. What made Strait's words powerful was their honesty. There was no exaggeration, no performance, just one legend tipping his hat to another. It was a reminder that behind the fame, there's a shared understanding among artists who've walked similar roads. Looking back with perspective. As he's grown older, Strait has become more reflective, often speaking about the importance of appreciating the past while still embracing the present. His comments about Toby Keith carried that sense of perspective. There was an understanding that time moves quickly, and that moments of connection matter more than ever. Strait doesn't dwell on regret. He focuses on gratitude. His career, his family, and his experiences have given him a deep sense of clarity. When he speaks now, people listen, not because he speaks often, but because he speaks with meaning. His words carry weight because they come from lived experience. It's not about nostalgia. It's about recognizing the journey and honoring those who were part of it along the way. A legacy of heart and honesty. In the end, George Strait's tribute wasn't just about Toby Keith. It was about what country music truly represents: integrity, storytelling, and connection. Strait has built a career on those values, and his words reflected them perfectly. Both men, in their own ways, stayed true to who they were, never chasing approval, never losing sight of their roots. That's what makes their legacies endure. At 73, Strait stands as a symbol of consistency and quiet strength, someone who proves that you don't have to be loud to be heard. His reflection serves as a reminder that behind every song is a story, and behind every legend is a human being who simply wanted to be understood.